That position as intimacy coordinator, I've been certified and trained to make sure that the performers feel safe in a sex scene or in a nudity scene. There's a lot that goes into that. I also do some choreography around it, which is so fun. So it's almost like what a stunt coordinator is to stunts. Which, if you think about everything you've ever watched, how was this never a thing on sets before? That's crazy. Right. Some of the things I've seen through the decades, it's like, I can't believe.
That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Tell me how you feel. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Black excellence at its finest. How that skin glows, she's a true diamond. With the world at her back, she's still smiling. Never let that crown till she stays thriving. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Keep it real. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. Is that really it though?
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to That's It, That's All. Y'all know me, Casey. And today we're going to have Erin Tillman on. She's going to be talking about all of her background and consent, sexuality, relationships, all that good stuff, because she's definitely an expert. And as you know, we're an opinionated podcast through the lens of Black women and Black creators. I'm just going to give a little background on her. She's going to do the most of it because she's here to talk about herself. I don't really need to do all the talking. But she's a certified intimacy coordinator. She's a certified sex educator. She's also created a consent guidebook that is easy to follow from over 30 experts, establishing boundaries, respecting boundaries, all of that. So let's just dig into it.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I just want to dive in, ready to dig right into it because it's such an interesting subject when someone can be like, okay, this is something that we need to talk about, and I'm going to be the one to talk about it. Yes. And not only am I going to talk about it, I'm going to write a book for you to follow it.
Yeah.
So, Erin, let us know a little bit about you.
Yeah. So, gosh, where do I start? So, I am a certified sex educator, certified intimacy coordinator. First, let me tell you what that is for those out there who don't know what that is. So, coming out of the Me Too movement in 2018, 2019, there were a lot of things that came out a la Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, like all these things on productions. Right, exactly. And so, funny enough, the industry was like, oh, maybe we should make sure performers feel safer when they're in a nude scene or kissing scene or sex scene on set. So essentially, that position as intimacy coordinator, I've been certified and trained to make sure that the performers feel safe in a sex scene or in a nudity scene. There's a lot that goes into that. I also do some choreography around it, which is so fun. So it's almost like what a stunt coordinator is to stunts. Which, if you think about everything you've ever watched, how was this never a thing on sets before? That's crazy. Right. Some of the things I've seen through the decades, it's like,
so
I can't believe.
Out there doing it with no guidance.
Yes.
Okay.
And typically, like a lot of actors I work with are saying they're really excited that that's a thing because usually they would have to just figure it out by themselves. Like somehow productions and directors and producers just assume that an actor knows how to fake a threesome scene or whatever the thing is. It's like, why are we putting that on a performer to figure out by themselves? So that's part of what I do. I'm working on a couple shows. My first 2 feature films are being released right now and next month, which I'm super excited about. So it's my first time in the credits, of the movie.
Get some credits.
I know. It's good.
Okay, well, so other than you seeing that there was an opening for something that to be needed, like how are you creating these things? Are these based on experiences? Is
Great
it based
question.
on being around your friends? It's like, that looks weird, that looks cool. Let me see how I can choreograph that on TV.
Yes, that's a great question. So the other piece before I got certified a couple years ago to do that, I'm a certified sex educator. So I've been through a lot of certifications and trainings over the last decade around kink and BDSM, polyamory, non-monogamy, identity, sexuality, all so many of the things. Yes, some of it is experiential as well. I've been invited to a lot of interesting events and parties. I have a lot of friends who are in the Burning Man crowd as well. So, partially because my interests have been varied, and I'm very curious. I also am a queer Black woman, which is a very unique experience being a queer Black woman.
Okay, we're going to talk about that too.
We can. We're going to do it. We'll put a pin in it. But yeah, so many things. But so, yeah, I've been lucky that I've had access to a lot of spaces where I have been able to to observe and participate and also have people confide in me and share with me like what their experience is. I also used to run an organization called Sex Positive Los Angeles where we put on a lot of events. So I was able to kind of see how events were run to make safe spaces for people who want to explore their own sexuality and learn. So, oh my goodness. So everything I do is not mainstream in a lot of ways.
I mean, you created your own niche in a sense, right?
Yes, thank you.
Within that, you'd be surprised how many times people create their own niche and you're like, wait, we did what? Why didn't we have that before? Because
Right.
that makes a lot of sense. So when it comes down to like safety and consent, let's talk about your consent guidebook because consent is key.
Yes.
And I think that has been talked about out loud
Yes.
a lot more in the recent years than
Yes.
it has been, obviously.
Yes.
Let's talk about how you dove into that. And
Yeah. I mean, it's also interconnected. It's so funny. I was talking to one of our mutual friends recently, and we're both kind of starting this new ventures that are parallel, and we were both like, gosh, all these things we've done. I've been in Los Angeles 20 years, worked in TV and film 20 years as well, and it's like sometimes you do like gig work or a gig, and you're like, just taking money, you're like, I gotta pay bills, and you don't really see how it's gonna fit all together. And it's like, wow, all the things I've done, whether it was working in events or working as a stand-in on sets or wardrobe or just all these things pieced together and led me to this place. Consent and boundaries specifically. So, I've been very lucky that in my life I've had a lot of very strong women. I've had a lot of really supportive men in my life, more like friends, a lot of really supportive men friends. I have had some unsavory experiences. Who hasn't, honestly, especially working in entertainment and being, in different spaces where there's power dynamics. But all that to say, I just feel like when the Me Too movement happened, it was very clear that a lot of people didn't learn anything about this. And we assume that everyone had sex ed or that everyone had like good role models or had, parental figures that taught them, quote unquote, right from wrong. But that's
My mom just said,
subjective.
don't do it.
Or that.
She told me not to do it.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't want to be I knew from young age, I was like, I don't want to be a teen mom. I don't like these dusty boys. I'm waiting for my husband that's going to slip me away. Like, I've always lived in this fairy tale, like, dreamland that, like, clearly at 36 realizing that doesn't exist. But we're here now. I can say I probably saved myself a lot of heartaches, a lot of STDs, a lot of stuff like that. But I get it. So we're going into the role of creating that guidebook. And you were talking about your you had a lot of support around you.
Yes.
These stories, I'm assuming like there were stories coming to you.
Yeah.
Just giving you ideas.
Yes. And also, again, I mean, it isn't for nothing that, I grew up with a lot of very strong women in my life who gave me a strong sense of self. I'm an only child too, so I think I always kind of navigated things by myself and kind of had a strong presence. Also, dusty boys. I was always like, I don't know, worth my time?
Right.
Probably not. But
right.
And so, as I was a few years into the sexuality profession at that point, started off as a dating coach in my sexuality branch of what I do. And I was just meeting a lot of colleagues who had a lot of different takes on like consent and boundaries and how they learned about it or didn't learn about it. And especially being in Los Angeles, like people are living in all different kinds of ways, in a beautiful way, consensually. And so I was just learning all these, especially like being in BDSM and kink. I feel like I learned more about consent and boundaries in that scene than anywhere else. I'm putting in that bucket some of my sexuality trainings, some of my trauma trainings. I learned more about consent and still do in kink. And that is shocking to me. And it's really unfortunate in a lot of ways because kink is not, first of all, most people aren't into it or know what it is. And it's not a mainstream thing that everyone can learn. So how is it that we're learning this fundamental thing from this like counterculture group of individuals? So anyway, all that to say, 2018 happened. I was like, oh, clearly people don't know about boundaries, basic boundaries. And I started writing. And honestly, I was like, there's so many times when I was writing the book where I was like, I don't know if I know what I'm talking about. I don't know if anyone's going to read this. I'm also very aware that everything I do and sexuality, identity, everything is evolving so rapidly. So as I was writing it, I'm like, well, it's going to be obsolete in a year. But I was like, I can't let that stop me. So I did publish it, and I'm very proud of it. Like you mentioned before, I have 30 other experts adding advice in the book because, again, like for me, like I'm of the thinking that anyone who says that they're the authority on something, I don't trust it.
Me neither.
It's like, right, you got to have there's a variety of experiences, a variety of
because there's
trainings.
There's so many ways to get to Z. Like
Yes.
you can start at J, you can start
Yes.
at E, you can start wherever.
Yes.
But it's very interesting that that's something that you went for because, like I said, like we, especially as women, right? Especially as Black women,
Yes.
right? There was a taught to like you don't say things.
Yes.
You keep it. You stay strong.
Yep.
You keep it inside.
Woof.
You keep it. And then if you're in a Black home, Black Southern home, what stays in the home stays in the home. And
okay.
I just recently had like this conversation with my mom about an instance within our family, and that's like, no, that's their truth. They should feel comfortable speaking their truth. And the conversation was, well, it's not going to solve anything, and it happened so long ago. I said, it happened so long ago, but that doesn't mean it is not affecting their present.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's what I don't think a lot of and I understand why.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of like skeletons in
Yep.
those closets back in the
Yep.
day. They weren't
Yep.
as
Yep.
able to be open.
For
Not that
sure.
they didn't want to be. We
Yeah.
definitely have a lot more freedom
Yes.
in that aspect. But it's like, it was such a crazy conversation because it was also like bridging the gaps between two. And it was felt like, I had to educate her a little bit. Like, Mom, you deal with a lot of your trauma. And I'm sure that you would be healed a little bit more if you didn't live in the mindset of like, I'm keeping it to my grave.
There's so much there. I mean, like you said, there's so much with Black culture and we're somehow protecting the family to not bring things up or talk about things, which I feel like does do a lot of harm. And yeah, I mean, like I feel like Gen Z especially, like I feel like I'm learning from Gen Z. I think they're great. They're just way more open about stuff. I also feel like we're in an age of transparency. Like there's a lot happening right now and like like entertainment currently, which I don't want to get into right now, but I just feel like there's so much enabling and secrecy and not even just for consent, like even for people in their own truth. There's so many people who feel like they can't live to be who they actually are because they have to conform to an idea of what you're supposed to be at 36 or 44, or you got to get married, you got to do the relationship escalator, meet somebody, get married, have babies, when maybe you don't want that at all. Or maybe I do some coaching as well. I also speak on college campuses, and it's people of all ages and in all generations. Really, I think we're in a place where people are really trying to find their truth and really live authentically without some outside opinion or outside pressure to do this thing. We can't get into religion because that's a massive conversation, but that plays into this as well a lot of times for so many people, of like how they feel like they're not okay or sinning or not like gonna go to heaven or whatever the thing is.
Was being a sex educator something you always wanted to be? Like, is that what like you went to school for?
No,
like you were like,
no, I have an undergrad in marketing.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I think about this a lot, and I'm actually asked that question quite a bit. I mean, there probably is some fundamental family, parental reason, or, I was a late bloomer. Like, I didn't have my first, like, boyfriend or sexual experience till I was, like, 19, which is late for some people. I feel like there's a lot of my educator friends were also late bloomers. So I think there's something attached to that of, like, maybe we felt like we missed something.
18.
Yeah. And so like later on in life, we're like, well, I'm going to explore everything now, and some of us to the point where we're like, we're going to study it and we're going to get certifications about it because we love it that much and we're learning so much about ourselves. So yeah, it wasn't ever a path that I thought I was going to go down. I mean, I honestly moved to LA in 2003, got into TV and film in various ways. And then 10 years in, there was just like all these like sets and productions I was on. There were always conversations about sexuality and dating and how dating was so hard in LA and, finding the one and like all these things.
Let's dive into that.
Wait, real quick.
Go.
So I was just saying, like, it was like kind of a fun thing. I started a blog before blogging was a huge thing. I started really old right now and like started like doing interviews. I had access to red carpets at one point. So I was interviewing celebrities about give, like, if they're married, give dating advice to people out there who aren't married yet. And that kind of started the whole thing. It was just for fun. And at some point I was like, I actually want to like learn more like clinical stuff around this. So that's how I have it.
Okay, dope. So like, okay, so we're gonna go back to
Yes.
this dating coach situation. What was your stats? Like, could you be a matchmaker? Do you think you were that good?
I was a matchmaker. Actually, yes. I worked for a matchmaking agency here in LA for a few months. Oh my God. Like, again, like 8 years ago. I loved the job so much. It was so much fun. It was like literally, I was like, oh my gosh, I found my calling. This is before all the sex educator stuff
Right.
and intimacy coordinator stuff. And the company I worked for was not a good fit. It was very much heavily based on sales. And for me, at my core, like I really wanted to like really help people find people they were in alignment with, and like not
just
based
sell them
on
a
you
package.
paid right, exactly. So yeah, I was a matchmaker. I did. So I started this blog. At some point, I became a dating coach. So yeah, I mean the biggest things I've seen in my dating coaching in LA primarily is that people aren't really clear about what they want. That's number one. They aren't fully being honest about who they are in terms of identities, in terms of who's going to make them happy or what kind of style of relationship. A lot of people aren't aware of all the options either, though, because again, we're horrible in this country about all of this.
I didn't know all the options. I
Yes.
came to LA. I said, you are what a hula what?
Yes.
Like a mahoo? Like, I was like, what does that mean?
Yes,
So
yes.
I get the whole being non-educated about the different aspects of what you want and how you want it.
Yes.
And the parameters of wanting it
Yes.
and if your partner is going to want it. So I definitely can contest to that.
Yeah. But it's hard. And also it can evolve. Like, what you want today might not be what you want in 5 years, and that's okay. But just having more conversations to normalize that you don't have to do it one way or the way your parents did it or the way your friends are doing it. We have the luxury of certain cities like LA, Atlanta could be similar, New York, where those cities really, you can feel more safe and comfortable to live however you want. I come from a small town in Ohio where when you were asking like how I got into this, I didn't know anything about any of this growing up. None of it. My mom is a retired professor, so I get the brainy part from her. But like, I learned later being in environments that are very open-minded and embrace you however you are. That is very lucky. Shout out to the people who live in smaller towns or more conservative areas. It is harder. And I don't want to just go find yourself. It is very challenging depending on where you are and what your household is.
I mean, I grew up in a very, I wouldn't say it was liberal, but it was a small town and it was very like, upper, whatever.
Yep.
And we were very diverse.
Yeah.
And, I went to HBCU.
Yeah.
In Maryland. So
Yes.
I was around, inner city children that I haven't been around before.
Yeah.
So it was a different, like, there's so many ways to find yourself and like create a version of yourself that you can be proud of.
Yes.
And have integrity behind. And a lot of it does have to do with your identity and
Yes.
your sexuality.
Yes.
Most of it is that, I think. Like,
Yes.
I think people get a little tweaked out because they don't know what they want or how to.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, especially with children, it saddens me to see the ratings of suicides go up because a conversation can't even be had. But if you think about it, is that these parents don't know how to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So we can't quite necessarily always blame the parents.
Right.
Because it's like you don't know what you're not taught or
Right.
what you're seek to learn.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And it's scary. It's scary for a parent. Like, I don't have kids. I can imagine I have a lot of friends who have kids, and like, they're luckily the people I know who have kids are embracing their kids' choices and like them speaking their truths, but that's not the case all the time. And it is anyway, like there needs to be some level of autonomy that kids can feel safe to express themselves, without feeling like there's no other answer.
Do you ever give any advice for parents to talk to their children?
I
Or have
don't.
you been in that realm before?
I try to stay away from under 18 only because, I do work that is, around, adults that are naked on TV and film sets and things that revolve around sexuality. I try not to talk too much with kids or have opinions about kids. Also because I don't have kids. I don't know if it's fair for me to, have it. But if a parent did come to me, and I've had some parents just ask, like, what is out there? Like, what are some things that I could be okay with my kid exploring, or do you have resources for my kids? That kind of thing. I can give that, but I don't feel like I'm the best choice, doing a kid. Like, I've had people ask if I could come to speak at like high schools and stuff. I'm like, maybe, but parents have opinions, and like if I go to a school, some parents will not want me there, and it's like I'm not trying to open a can of worms there.
I don't want it. That is true. That is true. So, being that you pretty much created your own niche in this field, what do you think your end game is? Like, is there an end game? Is there like a goal to say, like, all right, I did this, I created this, this is what it is? What would that be?
Oh my God, that's a great question. I don't really know, because I didn't really plan all of this either. But I do feel like I have like existential crises questions sometimes for myself of like, because let's just be honest, like this country does not value in a major way, in terms of funding, in terms of money, in terms of pay, what I do. Right. I'm lucky that, being attached to television studios, that, we do have backing. There's a standard rate based on other like crafts people in the business. So I do okay that way, but it's like always kind of having to prove myself or convince someone that what I do is valid to the same degree as another consultant is, or those kind of things. So it's tricky. So I think that it's going to depend on the longevity and how seriously we're being taken as sexuality professionals, as intimacy coordinators, how long I want to do this, or how it's going to evolve. Because I think that we all deserve some level of stability, and there is some level of, some people in my life call me an activist. And, no activists are rolling in the money. That's all I'm trying to say. So I'm like,
ain't that the truth?
So I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the longevity of this? What is my truth? Like, I want to also live a life where I'm following my bliss, not just teaching everyone else to find theirs. So now, I don't know.
Now, would you like teach a course? Like, if somebody was like, hey, I kind of want to do what you do, I think this is important. Have you taught any of those kind of classes?
Not specifically. Do you mean like specifically like how to become or do what I do?
Yeah.
I've not done that, but this is a great idea, Casey. Thank you.
I know.
I've taught, I feel like people reach out to me all the time and like want to quote unquote pick my brain, or, ask where I got certified and trained for things, that kind of stuff. But I've not actually put together a course. Interesting. Thank you.
We have time on our hands. All right, so Erin, we're going to play Black Heart Revoked. And this is the original flavor X, better, bolder, blacker.
Okay, I'm ready. Oh boy. Yes.
You gonna keep her black heart or get it revoked?
Hopefully I'm keeping it.
We're gonna see.
Well.
All right. Where is the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, a museum dedicated to the victims of lynching, located? A, Jackson, Mississippi. B, Atlanta, Georgia. C, Montgomery, Alabama. Or D, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh man, I think it's either B or C. I'm gonna go Atlanta.
It is Montgomery, Alabama.
That was my second choice. So I
would just always choose Alabama.
I'm gonna right.
There's two states in America that I'm always gonna think the worst of is Alabama and Mississippi.
Well, I'm gonna say it's not revoked yet, because I chose either B or C. So I was like, it's one of the two.
Close.
Yes.
One of those states. Okay. Okay, next one. The CDC says that Black women are 4 times more likely to die than white women doing this.
Childbirth.
Ooh, you didn't even have to.
No, I know that one for sure. Sex educator, I already know.
D, it was giving birth.
Which is honestly one reasons why I have not had kids, because it's why I don't trust. It's sad.
Because people out here, it's like, man, that's
medical
a whole
industry.
Nother conversation.
That's right.
For a whole nother episode.
Exactly.
Okay, so in which production did the iconic John Witherspoon say the secret is you got to coordinate? A, Next Friday. B, The Boondocks. C, The Wayans Brothers. D, Boomerang.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Oh man.
You want me to read the question again?
No, I'm going to go with Boomerang.
It was Boomerang.
Yes.
You got to coordinate.
Yes.
All right. Which This is too easy. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. All right, you said you like a music one. So
Yes,
say,
yes.
According to DMX, there was Brenda, Lily Tisha, Linda, Felicia, Dawn, LaShawn, Inez, and who?
Oh my God.
Shaquisha, A. B. Alicia, C. Teresa, D. Lisa.
Oh my God. No, I you know what? I'm gonna say B.
Alicia, you got it.
Okay.
She's keeping her card, y'all.
Okay, I'm keeping
All
the
right.
card.
This is going to be the last one.
Okay.
Last one.
Doing good, doing good.
Last one. She got most of them right.
Yes.
All right. This is a funny one. Who said y'all should take y'all black asses to Iraq and help fight for our freedom? A. Charles Barkley. B. Ben Carson. C. Justice Clarence Thomas. Or D. Uncle Ruckus of Boondocks.
Who is A?
Charles Barkley.
Oh, he does say some things. He says some things sometimes. Or I think it's either A or D. I'm gonna go. Wait, who was D?
Uncle Ruckus of Boondocks.
Okay, I'm gonna go D.
You did good.
Yes. Yes.
Guys, she keeps her card. She
Woo!
keeps her card.
Shoo.
Well, Erin, I want to say thank you for coming on our show and sharing all of your many gifts and knowledge with us. I do, at the end of all of my shows, love to leave a message to the viewers or maybe your younger self about where you are at today, and if they wanted to get into what you're doing, maybe in the future, what would you say to them?
Oh my gosh! Wow. I mean, I okay. So I'll say, definitely, it's. I feel like me and my colleagues are fighting the good fight. It's not an easy career because it is so new and not appreciated fully, but it's very fulfilling, and I do feel like I'm contributing to something, a greater good, and just helping people just get to know themselves, and also again safety, consent, and boundaries. To my younger self, I would say, buckle up. You're gonna have a lot of fun experiences. It's not gonna be easy, but you'll find a lot of people who are in alignment and want to help you. So have fun with it.
Well, there you have it. Thank you again, Erin, for coming on.
Thank you.
Y'all, where can they find you, Erin?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram's the best place at Dating Advice Girl, at Dating Advice GRL. That's the best place. But also you can find me on my website, erintillman.com.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. If you guys enjoyed this episode, if you have any more questions and you're wondering what exactly is she talking about, how can I get into this, please don't hesitate to, comment on our page, comment on her page, like, subscribe, share, do all the things to get in contact with us. And thank you guys for being here and sharing your time with us. That's it.
That's all.
Daz It Daz All is written by me, Casey Carnage, and produced by myself and Rick Barrio Dill. Associate producer Bree Corey, audio and video engineering and studio facilities provided by Slap Studios LA with distribution through our collective, Slap the Network. If you have any ideas for a show you want to hear or see, please email us at info@slapthepower.com. And as always, go to dazitdazall.com and sign up there to make sure you will never miss a thing. See you next show.